All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for the Ancient Magus Bride. Episode 22.
She has left Elias.
She's gone with Cartaphilus.
Yes.
And they're going to make some kind of a deal.
Right.
And we're pretty certain that the gist of it is a curse transfer of this regard. Because this is the thing. Cartaphilus seems to be one that is suffering. That is part of his theme, is that he brings suffering wherever he goes.
Sure.
But he is also one that bears great suffering.
Right. And we know he wants to die.
We know he wants to die, yeah. It's just... It's really the only thing that immortal people want. Like, because once you get to a point to where you've lived so long that you've experienced everything,
right,
and you start, like, slaughtering people and turning cats and all that, just wanton, amoral actions like that. I'm guessing the only thing left that he wants is to die.
Sure.
And it just makes sense with what Chise's seen in the visions.
Right.
The fact that he seems to have a potential split personality with this Joseph versus Cartaphilus aspect of himself. Yeah.
The real question, though, is there some sort of fine print or something he's not telling Chise that's going to be bad? So, hopefully not. But
well, that's the thing. It's probably a curse. So, yes. By definition, yes.
Yeah.
It's probably in that Chise wouldn't be able to die. And that's pretty bad. But then again, that's a problem they can save for another time.
Exactly.
Instead of the Chise could die at any time, anytime soon because of just her being a slave beggy.
Yeah. And hey, if Elias also lives forever, potentially, then...
Potentially.
That could work out.
That's one of the things that was brought up with Angelica's husband, was that he was going to be outlived by both of them. Because they're mages. Yeah. And at the very least, the daughter has the mage... gene or the mage.
Right, however it gets
it was passed on. The mage lineage, essentially. Yeah. And, Elias is something more than just a mage. He's part fae creature.
Right.
Something more than someone. And, so I would assume that he would live for a very long time as well.
Yeah, but... Anyways, I can't wait to see how this episode
goes. This is probably going to be a dark episode, so it's going to be pretty intense. So without further ado, let's get into it. Oh, lovely. The law of equivalent exchange. Okay.
All right.
I like the lighting. Yeah. So this one wasn't turned into goop. Yeah.
Okay, it's not dead though.
Yeah. Because this is Cartaphilus. So he didn't acknowledge the name Joseph.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, equivalent exchange.
It's perfect!
Oh, I think in the opening we might have seen Cartaphilus with Chise's arm.
It's literally equivalent exchange.
What's the catch?
The sound effects.
Oh,
that was his eye. The head.
Okay.
That's Joseph right there. And there's Cartaphilus. Yeah.
Wait. Okay.
That went way too simply.
Okay.
Whoa, that effect in her eye was really cool. Nostalgic for Joseph or nostalgic for Chise?
I think nostalgic for Chise.
Oh, Mom. Yeah. baby Chisei. Yeah. A little dirt face from baby Chisei.
Yeah.
ただいまチセ
Huh.
おいちょっと歩けないだろ
Grabbing the legs, yep. That's a very kid thing to do. Oh, and they're so happy.
Okay.
お仕事大変？
最近夜勤増やしたからな
私も働ければいいんだけど。
そばにいてくれた方が俺も安心だよ
Mm-hmm.
ありがとう、ユキ。お母さんも私と同じ。
Yeah.
私はあいつに起きないように夢を見せられ
Right,
て。
because he's taking off your arm.
Exactly.
Oh, whoa.
New look.
But this is true form?
あなた、あいつじゃない。
離されたあれのかけら
This is the curse.
Whoa.
ものをくっつけて取り込んできた。本当のあれがどれなのか。
Oh, so it's not that he has one thing, it's that he's imbibed in many things, and that's the whole aspect of chimera work, is that he is kind of a chimera as
私
well.
に見せるの。
いいよ俺があやしてく
父さんどこか行くの
るいやちょっとだけだから待っててな
Wow. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was it.
それからお父さんは二度と
Exactly, yeah.
帰ってこなかったんだ。ユキ？そうか、この日から。ねえちょっと、また？
羽鳥さんが来てからでしょ。
おかえりなさいどうしたの
Mm.
怖がっちゃいけないって言ったのは大丈夫、大丈夫、大丈夫。
Slowly but surely,
Yeah.
whittling down someone's ability to fight back and stand up.
助けてお母さん
Oh.
出て行きなさい、早く。
Okay.
おい夜中にうるせえぞ
守らなきゃ。
捨てられた
捨てられたんです。
女哀れでうまそうだ
Doesn't get any sleep, and then
Yeah.
gets her job taken away and starts to lose her sanity.
Yep.
Turns to harm her daughter as the source of the problem. So I think the reason why they're showing this again is to give us the
あの子がいなくなればもっと私は楽になれるの。
is
そんなこと、そんなこと。
the redemptive side that Chisei can gain from this. Basically coming back to this with some perspective so that
Sure.
she can move
Yeah.
she can move forward beyond this.
でもあの子がいなければ。
Yeah.
あなたなんか産まなきゃよかった。あなたなんか産まなきゃよかった。私何をしたの？
And she jumps. Yeah.
Yeah.
It hurts because we knew all of this,
Right.
and yet, like, seeing it in the most direct linear bit just accentuates the pain. Yeah.
すごい嫌がらせだ。
Yeah, you telling me?
お母さん。ねえ死ね死ね死ね死ね死ね死ね死ね。
She says.
じゃあなんで最後まで
Yeah.
やらなかったの？本当のお母さんじゃない。私の中のお母さん。
Yeah.
お母さんに首を絞められた。
Yeah.
私が作ったお母さん。
Exactly. She already has the arm. See? Wow. This is good.
と話せてよかった。
Oh, yeah. That's
アンジェリ
right.
カさん、サイモンさん、アリスたちに。
That's right.
リンデルさんや妖精の国の人たち、ルツ、シルキー、ステラ、エ
And
リアス。
Elias.
私はあなたに会う前にきっと死んでたから。
Whoa.
許して。頑張って、
Yeah.
頑張って。
Chisei wasn't alone, so. Ah! It's like the flowers at the curse in the,
Oh, yeah.
the fifth episode. And instead of white flowers, it's Chisei's colored hair flowers with spring, and
楽しい
this is
思い
the
出だ
place that
たく
she
さん
wanted to create. That was the happy memory.
Uh-huh.
Yep,
Yep.
exactly. It's all the things
そんなの全然
culminating
思い出せなくて。
together.
お母さんのおかげで私
Yes,
は
yes,
自分よりも放っておけないかなり困った人だったけどね
yep. Just like you.
Yeah.
ありがとうあの時あの手を離してくれて
Haha. Wow.
前に進むよ
Right, because the you that she was perceiving wasn't the real mom, wasn't her real mom. So she doesn't
Yeah.
have to forgive someone that didn't exist.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay.
That's so good. Oh, hi.
決心はついた。
Oh.
僕は生かし続けるもん。
Right, because it's all what you make of it.
カルタフィルスの
君が生きたいと望む限り、僕は
And your
君の
curse,
祝福になろう。
Yep. Right, the idea that
君
if
を
she
蝕みながら
ever
守
wants
る
to stop
果物
living,
と永遠
then
に神
it becomes a
咲き合って
curse.
でも。
あなたは何を
What do
望む
you desire?
僕、
対価は私にだけ都合がよく聞こえるから
Whoa.
一つだけ聞こえ続けたの。それを叶えることができるの。
Probably. She's a slave Eggie. We're not gonna hear it.
そろそろ馴染んできたみたいだ。
お前起きて私もあなたのやり方を真似るよ
Wait.
望みが叶えられるかどうかはわからない
What is going on?
Okay. All right, let's see what
助け
happens.
て。100年も何千年も彼らはずっとそう叫ん
Help
できた。
me. That was what she heard in London.
Okay.
私は知らないと思ってるのにどうしてこんなことしてるのかしてきたのか
See the parallels, the
Takara.
mom, and she
知りに
say,
行く
Oh yeah.
"Whoa!" So
All
she
right.
figured out that he wants to die,
Yeah.
so she's
And-
going to kill him, but she's going to make him realize why he wants this
And-
as he's on his way to death. Kind of like,
Yeah,
remember how the
Hmm.
Fae or is an elf or something started drowning her,
Yeah. Right.
and
Yep, yep.
once she realized that she wanted to live,
Yeah.
she found a why to continue on.
Exactly.
I think they're going for that here. Ooh.
All right. So
So
they-
she's moved on.
She's moved on, and they did
Yes.
it in a really cool way where they were basically making it so that it's almost like maybe he was trying to make her suffer, you know, but also this is the thing that she needed to address to make it so that when she gets a body that can live forever, it really is a blessing, you know? Not a curse.
See, yes, this was more of Chisei's desire manifested in a way that at the present, when Cartaphilus or Joseph said, go to your darkest memory, basically
Mm-hmm.
to feel things, like negative things.
Yeah.
This is her darkest memory. So,
Right.
of course, it was brought up.
Understandably so.
But the reason why Chisei chose this one
Mm-hmm.
and had it go through the whole story of it rather than just going to the moment where her mother said,
Right.
I shouldn't have given birth to
Yeah.
you, is because Chisei's own soul, her own like will, desires to move beyond this, and it's also trying to
Right.
teach her something here in that her perception of her mother was colored after the event, after the
Right.
traumatic event, which is only natural, guys. Like
Right.
if you
Like,
think
how
that
can you not have that happen?
right, but I think that this show is not trying to make light of trauma by saying that the abuser in this case did nothing wrong. And
Oh,
that's the
right, yeah, of course,
Right, but
yeah.
that's the point, was that the abuser, the one that she didn't forgive, didn't have any power over her, was basically
Right.
a persona of some thing that basically took control of her mother because of the horrible things there.
Yeah.
That is evil. Like, that's the thing that's bad. And I think that's something that is a theme of the show, is that people make bad choices when they're sad, or
Mad or
scared,
scared,
stressed.
stressed,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
And in particular, Chisei has made a lot of poor decisions because of the kind of the cycle of trauma being
Sure.
passed along.
Yeah.
But it's not it's not negating it by saying, that didn't happen, that wasn't real.
Right.
She's more of saying that my perception of who you were is false. So I can move on from you and forget you and let you go, but I can still remember my mother when she was a beacon of light. I can still remember who she was when she had her sanity, essentially.
Gotcha. One of the things that I really like about this show and how it handles things, because you mentioned that this episode felt like it could have been like a recap episode almost.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah, just
at
a
least
little
in
bit.
part, you know? And I feel like that's because in Ancient Magus Bride, when they deal with issues, like specifically character issues,
Sure.
they will address them, but they won't resolve them. They'll still revisit them. So,
Right.
like this whole
For sure.
idea of dealing with the trauma from what her mom did to her,
Yeah.
that's not something you get over in one episode. That's not
No.
something you get over overnight, right?
No,
So
definitely
even though
not.
she's been working on it all the way up till this point, this is basically the final nail in the coffin of, you know, saying I'm not defined by my past and all that
Exactly.
stuff. And, you know, of course, done at the perfect timing as she's basically
quite
getting
so.
at a literal crossroads. Well, not literal crossroads, but at
Well, a deal with the devil crossroads.
yeah, exactly. Right. Because like, can you imagine how awful that would have been for Chisei if back before she started to grow and come to terms with the trauma, back when she wanted to die, if she basically felt that, nope, that not even that can happen, I'm stuck here. Like, the hopelessness that would have given her. Because
Well,
I feel,
it did.
Yeah, right.
It did. That happened.
Yes.
That was her. That was the memory of this led her to all of that.
Right.
Yeah. And what she's basically getting in a little bit of a mature way is kind of where this is why I needed to address the idea that the show is not trying to make light of trauma and abuse, is that when she came back from her adult self, as her, you know, her older self into this thing, she got the context of why her mother did this, and that her mother was, you know, also receiving the same kind of trauma and abuse, essentially, that Chisei had in a different medium, of course. Now, you know, she bore the burden of it and bore the brunt of it, very much like a shield, you know, just a really worn out, tired shield that eventually is going to let things slip through and hit her daughter. And her husband or boyfriend leaving her like that. Like basically just saying, nope, I'm just gonna take one of the kids and, you know, be done with it. And
the kid that won't bring me any trouble.
Kid that won't bring him any trouble. Yeah. So extremely selfish and essentially making the same mistake the mother did, but the mother, of course, is more attached to Chisei, so you know, just handled it longer, which is something to bring up in particular. I'd say that a lot of people could look at this and go, you know, Chisei's mother really dealt a nasty traumatic blow to Chisei, but in a lot of ways, the father kind of kick-started it. He started the ball rolling. I mean, this whole thing was going to happen as far as them getting tormented by evil, you know, spirits and stuff, and fake creatures that are just the darker side of things. But they could have tried to weather it all together, and they would have been stronger for it. And that's all a great what-if scenario. But you note that Chisei's memory is specifically relegated to her mother, because her mother was the one that did the physical act. Which means when she goes and looks back at this and sees the full kind of context with the memory and maturity of who she is now, she realizes, oh, there are a lot of variables involved here. And yes, what she did was like unforgivable. But I now have a little bit more understanding to be able to move on and not have you tie me down, essentially, with your the traumatic memory itself.
Right. And the idea that even though she's moving on, it's not something where she's forgiving her mother, because like, how can you forgive something like that? Like, that's
in a lot of ways, like, we can't really truly understand what that's like, you know?
No.
But I think that there's something in particular with showing how this is mirrored with what Cartaphilus is going through, essentially.
Yeah.
Cartaphilus was given the curse. Cartaphilus, as far as we knew, or Joseph, didn't choose this, and he probably forgot a long time ago how this whole thing came about anyway. That's why he barely remembers his name or names and has added all these other bits to him that it's not even necessarily really Joseph or Cartaphilus we're talking to. It's some amalgam,
just some twisted,
sad thing that's, mixed up there. And I like that Chisei might end up being a little bit of the redeeming process for him to move on from this whole past darkness that he's dealt with by giving him some perspective maybe with regards to life. And it would be very interesting to see how they do this, because I think logically there's only a few ways we can just kind of logic this out. One, Chisei lives and Cartaphilus dies.
Sure.
Another one, Chisei dies and Cartaphilus lives. Two, they both die. Or two, or three, or four, they both live. And I think we know which two of those are stupid in terms of Chisei dying and both of them dying.
Yeah.
But if Chisei kills Cartaphilus and he doesn't want to move on, that could be a harsh kind of wake up of that, this is why you need to get at this kind of thing early, because someone like Chisei could become someone like Cartaphilus in 1,000 years, if she lived on with holding on to the trauma of what had, been done to her. But if they both live, if Cartaphilus or Joseph kind of becomes freed because of some combination of Chisei's choice and also Chisei's role as a slave Eggy in the story.
Sure.
I'm very curious to see what they do with that.
Yeah. And I feel like, regardless of how they do it, they'll end up doing a great job. But I feel like the fact that Chisei, again, had to deal with all this, and now she is helping the main antagonist of the story deal with it. It's...
Sure.
It's just going to be cool to see what Cartaphilus chooses, because I feel like it will come down to Cartaphilus's choice.
Right. And I think we've also now come to this point where I realize, this is Joseph. There's those moments where you'll hear the voice change, and he'll go into more of a shy, I'm Joseph. Yeah. And then he'll, I'm Cartaphilus, and it's like, I can hear the schizophrenia from
the crazy
from here. Yeah. Well, no, just the split. He's two different people at minimum. Right. And there's two different personalities at least, because one of them is extremely timid and has this kind of resentment towards Chisei, and the other one has this distant, chilled kind of giddiness to it that allows him to rip out his eye without pain.
Right. Yeah,
that gives me more and more the vibe that he's completely disconnected from the body. There's another aspect of this that I was thinking that he was possessed in some way, but when they were talking about how he had stitched so many things to himself that who knows what he was originally, there's a part of that to where you can go, the body that the soul of Joseph essentially is connected to is not this body. This body he doesn't really care about. So when he gets, his eye ripped out, he's just like, I did it.
Yeah, okay. That was a thing. Yeah.
That was a thing. It's kind of like there'd be no nerve endings attached to his soul.
Sure.
So essentially the body is suffering, yes, but that's not his body, so it's, it's not magically affecting him in some way. And that's the ultimate kind of schizophrenia, is where when you, in particular, can feel the separation between your internal state and your body. That's get help. That's not good. I know lots of people that have had experiences like that when they start to lose their mental health, and it's oh shoot, please go get some help. That's not good.
One of the things that I really liked that they did here that I didn't see coming was the whole idea of that, that shadowy inverse Cardaphilus.
Right, yeah.
I didn't see that coming, but also the fact that it said, grant my wish.
Oh, right.
I've been hearing people cry out, help me.
Help me, help me.
For as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And
which is vague in all the right ways.
It's vague in all the right ways.
We don't know if they're talking about helping it or helping the people that
Right.
it is affecting.
Exactly. And
so,
we've talked about how, that Iroh quote of, sometimes the best way to help someone else the best way to help yourself is to help someone else.
Well, the best way to solve your own problems is to help someone else solve theirs.
Right.
Yeah. And Cartaphilus's, or Joseph's, main problem is that he's just had enough. He's just done.
Mm-hmm.
He's tired. He's worn out. He doesn't want to do this anymore. And maybe Chisei will snap him out of that.
Right. And
what if, she gets him to live out maybe the next 3 months of his remaining life, because he's going to die at some point because he took Chisei's dragon thing, and he becomes a dragon. He becomes this.
Okay.
That makes sense in some ways, that he would take the arm, and it would slowly transform him, and maybe, just maybe, in those last final moments as he's a dragon, he goes back to Lindell and sleeps and turns into a tree. And goes right next to Nevin or something.
This almost feels kind of like... Okay. An old, Nicholas Sparks story.
Really?
In the sense, okay.
Walk me through this, Jacob.
So, specifically, A Walk to Remember. The idea of enjoying the time that you have left, even though you're going to die. So the idea that Cardaphilus...
There's a lot of other stories that
fine.
Let's treasure the time we have before this.
Okay.
Nicholas Sparks carries a very specific set of themes with it.
Fine. But the idea that basically... Because, this feels like the culmination, the final conflict for the story, right?
No, the final external conflict. In a lot of ways, yes. Okay, no.
Or the final internal conflict.
The final internal conflict and external conflict for Chisei.
Right.
But Elias is still...
Elias is still back there. So there's some things that they still need to do.
Right.
But when I think about, this was episode, 22, or...
Yeah. 22,
yes. So the amount of time that we have left in the story, if they wanted to do something where they had Cardaphilus basically come to terms with the fact that, I'm going to die, and let's end it on a high note, basically.
Yeah.
And we got to see him learn to appreciate life and things like that, and come to terms with all the stuff that he's been through and stuff before he, dies and turns into a tree or something.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I also think that the dragon that's currently sleeping outside of Elias and Chisei's house could have, a redeemed Joseph go up to it and do what he can to set it free.
Okay.
Maybe in a lot of ways what Joseph will do is he'll take more curses upon himself right before he goes to alleviate other people's pain. Now, this is some Deus Ex Machina level BS. I hope they don't do this. But no, you know what I'm thinking?
I know what you're thinking.
This is based off Beauty and the Beast.
Yes, it is.
He could go to Elias, and he'd be like, and give me yours too. And Elias would be like, I don't know what you're talking about. And like, I think you do.
Okay. That would be pretty cool. And the idea that if they did that.
I doubt they're going to do that. Yeah, I have very little belief, but I wanted to say it just in case there's some...
and I like the theory. Because
it's some next level Deus Ex Machina.
It's some next level Deus Ex Machina stuff, but it also, the implications behind it is that since Chisei would have therefore saved him, and then he goes on to save Elias in that sense, with Elias first saving
Right.
Chisei. It's this awesome cyclical thing where it shows the effects of our actions and how helping someone with their problems does not just have the immediate effect of helping them.
Right. It goes beyond that, and there's a ripple effect. There's a chain reaction. Of
Just
sorts.
like Chisei has been helping all these people throughout the show.
Right.
As she's
Also,
gone on her journey.
It's also a good way to counteract the whole idea of abuse having this chain reaction of kind of being passed down, where abused people abuse people, so to speak.
Hurt people hurt people.
People hurt people. And in this case, it's more of like when you save someone, you give them the opportunity to save someone else, who then gets the opportunity to save someone else, and it spreads around. And that's really I think one of the most powerful things that this show has potentially going for it is the idea that when you save someone, when you go and you sacrifice a bit of yourself to help someone else, you give them the opportunity. You basically teach them how to do the same because they've experienced it. And most people can't do anything that they haven't already perceived.
Okay.
Meaning that a lot of people can do things just because of their imagination, and they visualize it in their mind's eye. But that's a form of perception. But in this case, a lot of people need the direct experiential perception, where it has to happen to me, like right in front of me.
Right.
Otherwise, I won't be able to replicate it.
Right.
And that is, of course, a little bit of a cynical perspective if that was the only way good would perpetuate around the world. Because, anyways, but my point is that
whole other discussion.
Yeah, whole other discussion. But my point is that that's a theme that has carried throughout the show all the way up until now. And if they find some clever magical kind of hooty-ha to figure out how to make it work and represent it, I'm okay with that. But I'm more of interested to see what Chisei chooses more towards the end as well.
Gotcha.
Because I know what Joseph's going to decide in a lot of ways. The simplest decision is that he's going to still make this move in a direction where he dies in a relatively quick manner, comparatively to 1,000 years.
Right.
He's going to be living for maybe 3 years at most, and I would say 3 weeks at least, or
potentially
or
just
3
dies
minutes,
right there.
or 3 minutes, who knows? Yeah, but the point is, he's not going to be living for long. There's also a lot of ideas of transformation involved with this in particular. I know that the other thing that could be potentially involved here is that the Fae creatures like Spriggan and the Queen and all them recommended that Chisei go to their land and just rest there, and she could become something non-human. Basically, she would adapt her body to the magical flow of the forest and what have you. Maybe that's where Joseph could go as well. Is basically he would find
he wasn't going to die. If
he was going to die, that would be where because I know he's going to die at some point. But it's more of your last final moments will be in peace. They will be in magical sleep. They will be in the form of something else. You'll transform into something. You'll still bear the curse and you'll die in a year or something. But that'll be your way of saying okay. And maybe in a lot of ways Joseph wouldn't choose that because he'd be like, I don't deserve this. But maybe Chisei would use her connection with the the fake creatures to say no, this is something we'll gift to you because you essentially saved my life. Even though you might think you put a curse,
even though you wanted it, yeah, exactly.
But it's really it's more than that. So yeah,
sure.
It's also a lot of things is. Oh my gosh, actually I'm catching all these really deep themes in particular. If Chisei takes the curse of Cartophilus and makes it into something beautiful because of her being a slave Eggie, that's the same thing as her taking the abuse from her mother and turning that onto some perspective context to be because of your abuse, I was able to meet all these amazing people and become the person I am today.
Yeah, right. If you're going to blame someone for something, blame them for the good and the bad. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, there's a lot of little things like that in this show. And now I'm kind of realizing more and more how subtle they needed to be with those so that they weren't kind of preachy.
Sure. It's
But-
right.
But in particular, I think that's what's going to be special about when you've watched the entire 25 episodes of this,
And then you like rewatch.
is that you kind of get the contextual messages and themes throughout.
Sure.
Even
Because
though
it's been
that
tied together with a bow.
Right, even though that in the moment a lot of them weren't communicated perfectly, by the end of it you kind of go, oh, wait, they could have been meaning this, they could have been meaning this, and it doesn't even matter whether or not they were communicating
It's just
that.
the fact that it's able to make you ask those questions.
Right, and you're able to potentially see it because context matters, perspective matters, and all those other things that are kind of themes within the show. So the themes within the show are telling you kind of how to perceive the show.
Sure.
Anyhow, cool stuff.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like surprised that they ended on another cliffhanger so late
too.
in the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for the next one.
Yep.
Anything you want to say in closing?
Just it was great to get an actual like Chisei backstory episode. Like I
mean, you
the
know
fact
that the OVAs exist.
Well, yes,
and like
yes.
they basically this is what they're covered.
Right.
Like
yeah.
and we had got most of the kind of the main points of the backstory in previous stuff.
Yes, that's true.
But you're appreciative of the linear.
Just
like,
the fact that they gave us a clear full picture of it as opposed to like those
With
little
details.
little bits and flashes and stuff with details, exactly,
Okay.
showing all the times where it was a happy family and they were able to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I kind of got the feeling that if they hadn't done it by this point, that they maybe weren't ever going to do it.
But you know the OVAs exist, right?
But yeah, I know the OVAs exist.
so they
yes.
technically already did do it before this.
Yes, but when you have a separate thing like this,
Right.
they generally make it so that if you don't have to watch the extra material.
Right, and I
in
agree
order
that
to-
this was necessary to have at some point in the story. My thing was I just didn't think they would do it. I
neither,
didn't
yeah.
have the perspective of you where like they needed to show this.
Oh, I mean, I didn't have the perspective of they needed to really until I guess they did it, and I'm like, okay, thank you, yes,
Okay,
awesome.
sure.
Because the way
Right.
they had been doing it up till now was great.
Yeah, we've seen tons of flashes, tons of specific
Mm-hmm.
little things. We've had some exposition. We've had things inferred. And a lot of the mystery elements of it, kind of like how Nevin could sense the turmoil going on inside her when they did their first dragon
Mm-hmm.
flight. That kind of stuff allowed some mystery air to it that I kind of liked a little bit
Right.
more than the just overt, this is what happened,
Yeah,
horrible
because
backstory.
because it makes it so that it's not just about this specific backstory or whatever. It makes it so that it's more of a general like trauma thing that potentially anyone could apply to their life,
Right.
rather than just this specific character with a horribly traumatic backstory.
Yeah, and you can replace a lot of the specific types of trauma Chisei went through with a lot of other ones to get
Exactly.
a similar thing. Again, I'm not trying to make light of trauma or anything like that. It's a really big deal, but there's a lot of extra stuff you get when you see it in a more linear story-based manner, and that's
Right.
what Chisei got as well.
Exactly.
So there you go. All right, guys, this is a lot of heavy,
very
heavy,
heavy.
good stuff. But if you want to watch the next episode's reaction right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. It comes with Discord access. You can watch full-length reactions there. And yeah, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb,
I'm Jacob.
and we'll see you all next time.